Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Friday the 21st of November 2025. I am Graham Hughes. You're watching Morning Brew on Politics Social. Big good day to everybody out there. We've got Martin in the chat. We've got Elle. One Angry Pagan is there as well. We've got Chris C. We've got Pete Dencart. We have got Captain Coconut in there. And Saz and Sid. And others. If you'd like to join our friends in the chat, all you need to do is hit the big juicy subscribe button. And, well, first of all, give us a like. Give us a like and then hit the big, juicy subscribe button. I realise you can't see our Politics Social Christmas tree very well. Yes, I have put the Christmas tree up. And I know there's going to be a few of you going, it's too early to put up a Christmas tree, Graham. Yeah, I don't care. I was feeling a bit miserable yesterday, so I thought I'd cheer myself up by putting up a Christmas tree. So there we go, in all its glory. Little Christmas tree there. It's a real Christmas tree. It's actually in a pot. It's actually a growing live Christmas tree. So hopefully we'll bring this out each year. I'll put it in the backyard when we're not using it. And hopefully it survives through the summer. And yeah, there you go. And we've obviously got our angel of light and mercy, A. Thompson, at the top of the tree there. So if you'd like to drop in a super chat today, you're very welcome to do so. I am going to put in a chat. What is it called? A super chat goal. A goal. And if we achieve the goal, I will bestow confetti on the world. Also, I'll do a bit more. I'll do a bit more of the show. So I'll yak on beyond, probably up to 10:30. If you want me to do that, then chip in. But if you don't give me anything. In fact, say, shut up, Graham, you're talking too much, you ginger bastard. That badger moved. Well, Brock is slightly getting cut off by the camera now. But it's all right. When we go to the pay-per-view, you'll be able to see Brock. And maybe I need to move this camera back a little bit so it's so it shows a bit more. I don't know. There you go. Look, there you go. Now we've got Aid and we've got Brock the badger. There you go. They're both on the screen at the same time. Just about. It's not in the center of the. There you go. Pixel perfect, almost. No, it's one, two. Anyway, so today, I'm sorry. I watched a really good video this morning from Too Long Didn't Read News, right? And it was about like Britain's not quite as bad as we were all led to believe by the newspapers, which is something that I say quite often. To be fair to me, like I'm not always doom and gloom. I do make the point that. If everyone was as horrible as the newspapers want us to think that everyone else is, and that all strangers are out to get us, then I'll be dead 10 times over by now. But yeah, it was interesting because they focused on the economy and how the economy is doing, and the fact that because we're a service export country, we have a lot more leeway when it comes to things like tariffs don't affect us. We have a lot of innovation because we're universities, and we have a lot of entrepreneurs. We have a lot of unicorn companies, billionaire companies, or companies worth $1 billion or something. There's a lot of stuff in there that is kind of good. The one thing that's really been holding us back has been investments, and that's because of austerity, Brexit, COVID, and Truss. They're all gone now. Well, I mean, we're still Brexited, but we've got a closer trading relation with the EU, which, I mean, just between you and me, right? They're bringing in this rule to say that you can't call them veggie burgers, which is like, excuse me, what? Because people might get confused, might think it actually has meat in it. I'm like, okay, look, I could understand, right, if someone who's an ethical vegetarian or vegan, or someone who's Hindu and can't eat beef, or someone who's Jewish and can't eat, or Muslim and can't eat pork products, bacon, etc. I could completely understand why they're, kind of like mislabeling something as not having meat in it when it actually does is a bad thing, right? To call something a veggie sausage roll, or to call something a veggie burger, like we have chicken burgers, or a bean burger, like it's fine. A burger is standard code for something in a bun. Something in a bun is called a burger, but the EU are trying to stop us calling them burgers. And we'll have to do it as well because we have aligned certain photosanitary labeling agreements, whatever, with the I know that's not the right words, with the EU. And so we're going to have to stop calling veggie sausages, which I don't fucking understand. Honestly, the shit that's going on at the moment with the tariffs from America, global warming, the war in Ukraine, and they're going, oh, well, I don't want people picking up a veggie sausage and getting home, and then they cry because, they think they're going to get sausage, but they don't. They get a vegetable. I'm like, okay, cool. It's not going to send them to their version of hell for their particular religion. Jack Russell's for you, £5 super chat. Thank you very much. You must drink some more coffee, Graham. Oh, thank you very much, Jack. I will drink. I've got some coffee here, made for me this morning by my beautiful partner in crime, Kat. Good goddamn YouTube bloody froze. Oh shit, sorry. Oh, that was you, not me. Okay. That's no Exum Street. It's more of a twig with tinsel on it, although the fairy at the top is a good distraction, though. It's not actually. It's really, really bushy here. It's just got this kind of like bit here that's a bit bare. But under here, I mean, this is really, really thick. You can't see it 'cause it's slightly out of focus, but it's going to grow. It's going to grow. This is just the first year of the Politics Social Christmas tree. Who knows? In a few years' time, it might not even be called the Politics Social Christmas tree. We might have changed the name of it. But I just wanted a little tree to replace the plant that normally sits here. See, for Christmas, because yesterday was a bit of a shit day. As we'll talk about when we get to the newspapers, Manny from the Stone Roses passed away. And I didn't know him personally. I met him a couple of times. Once when he was playing, but I think the Complete Stone Roses, like a Stone Roses cover band that Manny was part of, in Manchester at the student union there when I worked there. And the other time was when they were filming 24 Hour Party People. The film with Steve Coogan about the rise and fall of factory records and Tony Wilson, Anthony H. Wilson. He was just seemed like a really, really lovely bloke. But I've got friends who were quite close to him, and they're absolutely devastated. It's absolutely devastated. It's like a little, for the Liverpool, Manchester music scene. Like everyone knows each other. It's quite, incestuous. It's just, I hate living in a world where he's not with us anymore, but Trump is. And so's Farage. And so's Rupert Murdoch, who's like 1,000,000 years old and has no right still being with us. Anyway, Gallifreyan man, I'm curious now, what pray tell do they intend to call the veggie sausage instead? The tube of alternative meat vegetation. I don't know. I just think this is the most ridiculous thing I've ever fucking heard of. It's like, are you really wasting your time on this, EU? You're not selling the Britain. You're not selling us the Britain, mate. Come on, sell it to us. But yeah, don't have a go at my Christmas. I feel bad now for my little Christmas tree. This is £12.50 in Sainsbury's. This, not messing around. And it took me all of 5 minutes to make that little angel, little aid angel, an angel. No, that doesn't work. Murdoch is obviously a lich. Martin Primer Scream is better than who? Primer Scream are better than a lot of bands. I remember when Linda McCarthy ready meals were accidentally made using beef gravy mix at the production plant. Well, there was a huge scandal that happened because McDonald's weren't using vegetable oil to cook their chips, their fries, sorry. It turned out that they were using animal products, animal fats to cook their fries in. So vegetarians have been going to McDonald's for years thinking they were getting, fries that didn't contain any animals and a milkshake that didn't contain any animals. And it turned out both did. So if you dip your fries in the milkshake, you were getting double animal. Not great. So I think the labelling, it matters more the other way. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm not a vegetarian myself, but I'll be really pissed off if I bought something thinking it was a veggie and it turned out to be meat. And I'll be pissed off. And I'm not religious. I know people who would be absolutely horrified if they had got home, they cooked something, bit into it and gone, oh my God, Nothing like a good old horse burger, says Elle. butterfly chaos. Well, remember the horse meat controversy a few years ago, where bird's eye frozen lasagna turned out to have horse meat in it. Do you remember that? Yeah, that was pretty bad. Do you know what cheese they used in that particular lasagna to stop to hide the taste of the horse meat? Do you know what cheese they used? Mascarpone. Anyway, SG, thank you very much to the for the £5 super chat. I love the way you gave that twiggy tree a little rub and a pat. Stop picking on my tree, SG. It's not twiggy. It's a bit weird because like down this bit here is really, really thick and verdant, and then it's just got this little bare bit here, which I tried to cover with tinsel. There you go. Is that better? Is that making you happier now? There you go. Look, you wouldn't know. It's not twig anymore. All you can see now is this verdant bit in the middle. It's really like I found it hard to get like the lights in it and stuff because of the how bushy it is. It's like really bushy at the bottom, and it's got like a little twig that comes up at the top, which is necessary because I wanted something that I could put aid on top of. The cheese is strong with this one. Thank you. Anyway, so we're going to go over and have a look. No, we're not going to look at the papers. We're going to look at what Trump has been doing. Oh, God, that's talk about Trump. As I was saying earlier, I watched this video. I was like, oh, some good things are happening. You know, I just want to bestow the good things that are happening on everyone. I don't want to depress the shit out of everyone every day, even though I do tell terrible jokes. But we've got to talk about this. We've got to talk about the fact that America, in conjunction with Russia, obviously, have just cooked up a disgusting pile of shit that they're going to deliver to Kyiv, to the people in Kyiv, to President Zelensky and others, and say, you've got to eat this shit. And Zelensky and his people and, countrymen and women of Ukraine are going to say, no, we're not going to eat this shit. But it is just absolutely fucking nuts. This is a post-war settlement that's been written from Moscow's perspective and rubber stamped in Washington. It was drafted by Steve Witkoff, who's Trump's envoy, and Kirill, almost the word, all the letters of kill, with just an extra I and an R in it. Kill Dmitry, let's go and kill Dmitry, head of the Russia's Sovereign Wealth Fund. It's sad that Russia's got a sovereign wealth fund and we don't. Mad, isn't it? It is mad. I'm just going to move this around. Sorry, I'm just going to fiddle with my tree. Just going to give my tree a hug. It's very sad. Look at this. We need this tinsel. Go on, the tinsel. Tinsel shows up quite a lot on the camera. There you go. Lovely. Look at that. We've got little layers. Put that there. Cover your bare bit. Cover. You get a set dresser. Need a set dresser. There we go. Is that all right? Does that look a bit better? We need to just cover these gaps. We need to make it show so there's no gaps. They don't like the twiggy tree. I'm sorry, Aid. They don't like the twiggy tree. Anyway, moving on. That's probably what's that hanging down there? That's no good, is it? You don't want. We're not decorating a bucket. Let's put that there, and I'll put that there. There you go. Does that look better? Oh, it still looks like it's hanging down. Go on, get a bit higher. Get higher. Oh, I'll leave it. No, it's annoying me now. This is where the tree falls over and I cry. There you go. That's better. That's more better. I think that's better, Graham. Says Diz. Thank you, Diz. Someone cares. Thank you, Diz. Cares about my little tree. I sent a picture of this to Aid, and his response was, "Oh, for fuck's sake." Brilliant. Anyway, so yeah, let's go back to fucking Trump. Oh, I don't want to talk about this. Can we talk about this really fast, and then we'll talk about what you want to talk about? Let's talk about something else. Are you excited about Christmas? It's just over a month away. Is anyone going to have a go at me for putting up the decks before December the 1st? Have I let the witches in? Have I invited the vampires into my home? You should never invite a vampire into your home. It renders you powerless. Anyway, so there's the key context here is that this has been drafted by a Yank and a Russian. Europeans and Ukrainians, which is the same thing. So all Europeans, including Ukraine, were shut out entirely from this process. Ukraine was informed late in the process. It was presented as balanced, but every major cause aligns with Russian goals. Every major clause, even, aligns with Russian goals that they've had since 2024. And so today we're going to go through the draft, right? And we're going to point out point by point so you can see clearly how this peace deal or whatever, peace plan, rewards Russian aggression, dismantles Ukrainian sovereignty and Ukraine's sovereignty, and it normalizes autocratic invasions as a legitimate tactic for countries around the world. Really grim. Really grim. So, the central pillar of the plan is that Ukraine gives up land of its own, sovereign land, sovereign territory, to its aggressive, angry, dictatorial, autocratic, imperialistic neighbour. Crimea has been illegally occupied since 2014. Luhansk and Donetsk have been only partially occupied. Kyiv still controls significant areas of both of those territories. But Crimea, Luhansk, Donetsk are going to be recognised as Russian. This is going to be the largest land grab in Europe since 1945. Wow. And this is what the Americans want. This is what the what are they called? What's the word? I'm trying to think of the fucking word for it. There's a word for someone who's like pushing a fucking boulder up a hill and then it keeps rolling down into the sea. And Sisyphant? Doesn't matter. Forget it. I'm going a different direction. To words I can actually say in English. One Angry Pagan, thank you very much for the £2 super chat. I don't celebrate Christmas, so have at it, Graham. Lol. Thanks very much, One Angry Pagan, and thanks for letting us know that you don't celebrate Christmas. And we've got Miss Paula Thomas there, £5 super chat. A woman bought a vegan wrap because she was allergic to milk. 4 hours later, she was dead because there was a minuscule of milk in it. Yeah, exactly. That's where it's a problem. Not calling a veggie burger a burger is not the problem. But you got to call it a veggie sandwich. Veggie sandwich, no, but it's on a bun, so it's a burger. If it's on a bun, it's a burger. If it's in bread, it's in sliced bread. It's a sandwich. It's the difference. It's how we know. That's what we use a language to communicate with each other, so we both agree. Sisyphi. That's not helping me, Gallifreyan, Ren, because I don't know how to pronounce. Sisyphian. Forget it. Right. Anyway, what was I talking about? Donetsk. So, this idea that they're going to demilitarize, they're going to make a demilitarized zone in parts of Donetsk, areas where you treat to become zones where Ukrainian forces cannot operate. Russian forces promise to stay out, but there's no mechanism for this enforcement, so it's just a pinky promise, you know. It creates a buffer that limits Ukraine's future defensive capacity. Also in Kherson and Zaporizhia, they'll be frozen at current front lines. Russia will have claimed both as being annexed, even though it doesn't fully control them. And freezing the line solidifies Russia's territorial claims without requiring any kind of withdrawal. They're going to get everything. The International Atomic Energy Agency will take control of the Zaporizhia nuclear plant, which Russia seized in 2022. The plan keeps Russian presence in the region and splits electricity from the plant between Russia and Ukraine. And the overall consequence of this is going to be Ukraine loses internationally recognized sovereign territory, which, according to the agreement that they had, the Budapest Memorandum, was it, in the 90s, they said, we'll give up our nuclear weapons in return for the sovereignty of our land and the protection of our borders, the international recognition of our borders as they are. And Russia signed up to that. And this is why when people go, Russia was hard done by because we said that we wouldn't expand NATO and then we would. No, there was no treaty. There was no treaty about not expanding NATO. That never existed. There was a treaty about not invading Ukraine. That was actually signed by Russia, by Russian representatives that they went back on. So let me get this straight. It's not all right for Russia it's okay actually for Russia to violate a treaty that it signed, right? That it was a signature to, but it's not all right to NATO to respond to Russian aggression by expanding because the countries around Russia are like, fuck, they might invade us next. You can see why Ukraine wanted to join NATO, because it knew that if it was part of NATO, it wouldn't get invaded. That's why Latvia, Estonia, Lithuania are members of NATO. It's why Finland has joined NATO. It has joined NATO because it has a border, a very long border with Russia, and it doesn't want to be invaded by Russia. But these provisions reshape, the entire map of Europe. Ukraine is going to lose internationally recognized sovereign territory, while Russia is rewarded for military aggression, for invading a country, for raping, for murdering, for blowing people up, for kidnapping thousands of children to go to Russian homes where they are no doubt abused. And the Americans are like, yeah, this is cool. Do you remember when the Americans used to be the good guys? Or at least see themselves as the good guys? Remember when they had that perception of themselves, like they were the forces of good coming over the hill? You remember that? Remember those days? You know when America tried to inflict democracy across the Middle East? Yeah. Anyway, so and then they've got the security clauses, which are just mind blowing. These provisions absolutely reshape Ukraine's defense capabilities in Russia's advantage. So Ukraine's army will be capped. Capped? Why? Ukraine hasn't invaded anyone. They've just defended themselves. Why are they being punished? It's going to be capped at 600,000 personnel. This is a major downscaling during an ongoing war, limits Ukraine's ability to defend itself long term, and there's no cap on the Russian forces. I'll say that again. The country that's been invaded is going to have its army capped, but the country who is doing the invading is not going to have its army capped. It could be as big as they like. Ukraine, furthermore, will be barred from joining NATO. The aspiration of joining which was only driven by Russian aggression. If Russia hadn't been so aggressive and going about invading parts of Ukraine, like, I don't know, Crimea, and also invading and annexing a third of Georgia in 2008 when it came and stole South Ossetia and Abkhazia from Georgia. You can see why these countries want to join NATO. But this clause gives Moscow, the gangsters, murderers, rapists, scumbags running the show in Moscow, it gives them power over Ukraine's security policy. Like, how does that work? How the NATO will be forbidden from stationing troops in Ukraine. Forbidden. The Americans are like, yeah, let's forbid ourselves from putting troops in Ukraine. I can't tell you how much I want the American government, particularly Trump, but pretty much all Americans at this moment. Sorry to any Americans watching, but honestly, can you fuck off? Can you just can you just leave us alone? Like, this is Europe, right? This isn't your manor, right? This isn't your town. This isn't your place for hanging out. See you later. Cat's just leaving. This is right. This is Europe, right? Fuck off. We don't want your help, okay? It's in World War One, not World War Two. We're not asking for your assistance. Why don't you take your ball? Fuck off, okay? I say this with love, honestly. For the Americans watching this, right? I say this with love. Fuck off. This is our deal, all right? We'll deal with it here in Europe, yeah? It's got fuck all to do with America. And to come along and say, right, we're gonna give Russia everything they want. How do you think we're gonna respond? Oh, thanks, America. Thanks, Uncle Sam. We've got a disgusting military aggressor in Moscow on our fucking doorstep, on the doorstep of Europe, coming here and destroying our cities, raping women, killing children in our continent. And America's like, oh, we'll sort this out, lads. You know, what we'll do is we'll give Russia everything they want. That'll stop them. That'll stop any future territorial ambitions they have over Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania, Moldova. You know, that'll stop anything. They'll just stop there. Because what you want to do to a bully is give them everything they've ever wanted. Get the bully into the deputy head's office, right? Instead of giving him a bollocking, what you want to do is just give him loads of fucking sweets and say, well done, kiddo. Well done. Tap on the head. Little pat on the head from Uncle Sam. Well done, Vlad. You fucking psycho who murders his fucking, not just his opposition, not just the people who might, you know, be a political problem to him, but also his friends. Blows them out the sky with a fucking rocket. Gets away with it. Murders British fucking citizens on British soil. Gets away with it. Blows up a fucking passenger plane, MH17, with 300 people on board. Innocent people. Blew it up. Fucking Russians. Fuck them. Sorry. I'm sorry for swearing so much, but honestly, this can fuck all the way off. And then once it's got there, it can fuck off some more to the end of the fucking universe. To the heat death of the fucking universe. Ms. Paula Thomas, thank you very much for the £5 super chats. Having listened to analysis of the thing overnight, it won't only affect Ukraine. Part of the proposal also gives up the Baltics and Finland. Yeah. Honestly, it's the nuttiest fucking thing I could possibly imagine. And I want to boycott. I want a boycott of America. I want us all to boycott America. It's going to be very difficult because this is an American company that is allowing me to stream on this network. But I was thinking about this. Wouldn't it be great if we had like British companies doing also like a British Facebook, a British or a European, even better, European Facebook, European, what's it called? Those things, Twitter, like a European Twitter that we can use. And how about this, right? It's only available in languages, in European languages, so not Russian, because Russian isn't a European language. Oh, what's that the sound? Is that the sound of Peter the Great turning in his grave? Yeah. You're not part of Europe, mate. I don't know what you're part of. I don't think Asia wants you either. Let's just call it the wastelands, okay? So we've got Europe, yeah, Europe, and then we've got Asia down here, right? And then above there is the wastelands. That's what we should call it. Fucking love that. Anyway, so these wasters from the wastelands are causing a lot of headaches for our continent, and I wish they would fuck off. Anyway, so yes, so they're gonna have the army capped at 600,000. They're gonna be barred from joining NATO. They're gonna be forbidden. NATO's going to be forbidden to station troops in Ukraine. Gets worse. European jets stationed in Poland, not Ukraine, so air support placed outside of Ukrainian territory. This provides symbolic reassurance, but no forward defense capacity on Ukrainian soil. And there's also these are all definite things. It's like, you know, we're going to cap at 600,000. We're going to do this. You're not going to be able to do it. But when it comes to the security guarantees, suddenly this piece of shit fucking memorandum that's been thrown around by the fucking Yanks is suddenly, it's a bit woolly, you know. It's a bit like there's no details on the security guarantees. Yeah, we haven't really thought about that. The stronger guarantees exist in existing NATO and EU frameworks, but this plan blocks Ukraine from joining. And the overall consequence of this is Ukraine becomes a permanently militarily weakened buffer state between Europe and the wastelands. That's it. The wastelands of Moscow. SG, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Trump does this on purpose. His first offer is so egregious, then you can settle for things you wouldn't normally have during a normal negotiation. Everyone seems to cave in to him. Yeah, which I'm sick of. I really hope they don't. And Viper Scott has put in £10, sorry, it's a £2 super chat for the swear jar and to help Diz get confetti. Yes. Okay, call it Mordor, full of orcs. That's what Ukrainians call it, says Andrew. Yeah, that's good. But I do like the wastelands. I've got to say, you know, what continent is that? You say, as you point at the Mercator projection, which makes Russia look even bigger than it already is. Russia being the biggest country in the world, but not big enough for Vladimir Putin. He needs a bit of Georgia. He needs a bit of Ukraine. He needs a bit of Latvia and Estonia and Lithuania. He needs them. You know, the country's just not big enough. But yeah, let's have a version of Facebook. Let's have a European version of Facebook, and it only allows European languages because it's just for Europe. Is that discriminatory? I don't know. I don't care. Why do they call him Keith anyway? Doesn't get sent to me. I get Tory Kunzberg. I don't know. I think they think it's funny. I don't know. Why are we talking about Keir Starmer? They call him Keith. Yeah, I don't. Anyway, so we're going to go on now and talk about the diplomatic and economic rewards for Russia. A full normalization package for Moscow. Reintegration into the world economy. Sanctions lifted. Russia restored to pre-war trade and investment flows. A return to the G8. Russia's status regained status amongst global powers, even though it's got a GDP per capita on a par with fucking Grenada. Symbolic victory for Putin after years of isolation. And also the sanctions reinstated only if Russia invades again, but it's already invaded. It's keeping its territory that it has invaded. No penalties for past invasions or atrocities. It doesn't have to pay anything towards the Ukraine or the Ukrainian people in terms of reparations, anything for all the damage that it's done, and no reparations other than limited frozen assets. Just fucking crazy. Thank you very much to Martin for the £2 super chat. Diz confetti shower. Thank you. We're getting there. We're getting there to confetti. So what concessions here is Russia making? It's getting everything it wants, and then it's getting invited back to the table. Now, what you do is you say, we will invite you back to the table once you get the fuck out of Ukraine. That should be the deal. Get out of Ukraine, and we'll normalize things. But you do have to pay some reparations, mate, because of all the damage that you've caused, the billions of dollars of damage that you've caused to this country of Ukraine. And also, this is mind blowing. There's going to be a shared US-Russia investment fund. So they're going in together, like, you know, incestuous cousins, taking some of Russia's frozen assets and investing them jointly with the US, and to create a financial interdependence between Russia and Moscow and Washington. And this is designed to build common interests. I mean, I love the idea that American taxpayers are going to be paying money to help out Putin and his mates. You know, does that go crazy? Is that a bit crazy? Viper Scott, to get the confetti, says £2 super chat. Thank you very much. We only need one more super chat, any value, and we will get confetti. He can come back to the table when he stands trial for what he's done so far. Yeah. Well, I mean, that would be what part of it. You want to get back to the table, get out of Ukraine, reparations, Putin on trial. That's it. Or you can throw him out the window if you want to save us a few bob. Anyway, so look, Russia gets legitimacy, global standing, it gets financial reward without withdrawing from the country it's invading or being held accountable in any fucking way. I'm sorry, this is why I have to talk about it. I wanted to talk about nice things. I wanted to talk about fluffy kittens and how cute puppies are. Oh, talk about how cute puppies are. Cheers, Alistair, you cute puppy, you, for the super chat, which brings on the confetti. So thank you. I hope you all enjoyed the confetti in the chat there. I've got my own confetti here. Should we release the confetti? Okay, 3, 2, 1, confetti! Woo! Yeah, baby, let's do it. It's confetti time. Let's just get a bit of joy out of the shit that's going down in the world. There must be some good things happening. Some good things happening. Anyway, so then we've got the Ukrainian rebuilding and domestic policy clauses. These are framed as reconstruction, but they're really tightly controlled. There's 100 billion in frozen Russian assets for rebuilding, which is less than Kyiv estimates it needs. A lot less. Kyiv reckons it needs at least $486 billion. and these are tied to conditions set by US and Russia. They need to have elections within 100 days because they want to get rid of Zelensky. This forces wartime elections while large parts of Ukraine remain unoccupied, and creates political instability at the moment when Kyiv is at the most vulnerable, which is exactly what the Russians want, giving the Russians exactly what they fucking want. And then we've got the educational programs in both countries, a vague clause on tolerance and eliminating prejudice, risking equating the victim and the aggressor. And, these rebuilding funds and political reform are controlled externally with input from fucking Russia. Stop asking them what they want. I don't care what they want. What they want is to fuck off. And, the understanding the process reveals the intentions here. This was drafted primarily by Witkoff and Dmitriev from the US and Russia, respectively. Dmitriev is a sanctioned Russian state official. Sanctioned. But it does show a close coordination between Moscow and the wastelands and Trump's inner circle. Trump, who is a waste man. The waste man who loves the wastelands. Oh, that makes sense. Ukraine was consulted very late on with this. Zelensky's team say they were presented with the proposals, so they didn't have any input into this. And the EU foreign policy chief literally said didn't know anything about it until it was just presented. Wasn't asked, wasn't taken aside and said, hey, what do you think of this? None of that. And this is seeing that the Europe being excluded entirely, the EU, the UK, Poland, Balkans, all key stakeholders have been sidelined. No one was consulted. The Ukrainians were only given this deal to look at after it had already been agreed by the US and Russia. The aggressor side. Did anyone hear that mad woman who called up James O'Brien yesterday to go, well, they're these strong countries that just have to give in, don't they? Like Nazi Germany and imperialist Japan. They were proud, strong countries, and they couldn't win, and so they. Oh my God! I think James was far too polite with her, to be honest with you. I would have given her down the fucking banks, the mad old hag. Anyway, so Trump's team claims that this is really balanced. They claim it's a good plan for both sides. The reality is that every central clause is a Russian red line. It's like this is Christmas has come early for Russia, which is ironic because Russia don't celebrate Christmas until January the 7th, so they have to wait later than the rest of us. The overall consequence is the process resembles a bilateral US-Russia negotiation, not a multilateral peace conference. This is just the US and Russia deciding amongst themselves how to carve up Europe. How does that make you feel? Does that make you feel good? And then we've got Ukraine's forced response. We've got how Kyiv is navigating the trap. Zelensky's diplomatic tightrope that he's got to walk now. He's expressed appreciation, that's the word he used, to avoid antagonizing the US. Thanks, but no thanks. But he's emphasized the need for dignity and security. And Ukrainians in private, they're furious about it. MPs have called it a capitulation, absurd, and the end of independence. And according to US sources, Ukraine's Minister Umerov made modifications and forwarded them to Zelensky. Signals how desperate Kyiv is for continued US military support. Now, don't forget that the way that the war's going at the moment, at the start of the war, Ukraine was making a tiny fraction of its own armaments. Now it's making 60% of the stuff. It's producing 60% of the things, the armaments, weapons, drones, etc. I assume that it's fighting the Russians with. Okay, so. The military hardware that is not forthcoming from America, that's not such a big deal. But what they really, really rely on is military intelligence from America. And this is what they are desperate to not get taken away from them. But the Ukraine's got to engage in this plan. The Americans know this. The scumbags who are putting this all together, they know this. They know that they're putting Ukraine in an almost impossible situation. But they've got to engage at least in this plan, because even though it contradicts its core survival requirements of Ukraine being the state that we know, this deal gives 1/5 of Ukrainian land to Russia, to Moscow, to the fascists in Moscow, to the dictator in Moscow who kills everyone who looks at him funny, to the murderous, tyrannical dictator, the psychopath in the Kremlin. It just gives him everything he fucking wants. It's like feeding children to Hannibal Lecter. This is what this is. Feeding European children to Hannibal Lecter. And the Americans are like, yeah, let's do this. And then Russia's public position, I mean, they've been downplaying it while keeping every advantage. They're remaining aloof. They don't want to admit to ownership of this plan. And they have an insistence on root causes, which is a Kremlin code for Ukrainian neutrality, demilitarization, territorial concessions, which are all included in the plan. And there's no commitments for troop withdrawal. The plan allows Russia to keep all its occupations, the place where it's occupied, intact. And Russia benefits while rejecting any kind of responsibilities. And this is a disaster. This plan is an absolute disaster, not just for Ukraine and Europe and all of the Baltic states and Finland and Moldova. This is a plan that is going to destroy the global order going forward, because it sets an incredibly dangerous precedent. Invasions work. Jump into my time machine. Let's go back to the Gulf War in the early 90s. Do you remember the Gulf War? 1990 till 1991. I think it finished at the end of February 1991. The Gulf War. What was the Gulf War about, I hear you ask? Well, the country of Iraq invaded its neighbour of Kuwait. Invaded its neighbour. Took pot shots at the big golf ball on the stick in the middle of Kuwait City, the capital of Kuwait. And the international community came together and said, "Oi, don't you be invading. Don't stop that, you naughty bugger." And we sent troops in. British, American, other countries sent troops in and said, "Oi, get the fuck out of this country." And they got the fuck out of that country. And then the war ended. That was it. We got them out. Hurrah! And then, obviously, when the Baltic states fell apart, sorry, not the Baltic, Balkan. When the Balkan states fell apart, the former Yugoslavia broke into 6 or 7 pieces in the end. There was an international presence, especially when it came to Kosovo, which historically was part of Albania. So it had a lot of ethnic Albanians there, which upset the Orthodox Christian Serbians, who didn't want people who were Muslim in their country and started massacring them. And NATO stepped forth. In fact, they called their team the K4 team. And they went into Kosovo and they kept the peace there. And they told the Serbians to fuck off and stop killing people because it felt like a country had invaded another country. And we didn't like that. We thought that was a bad thing. But now, Israel invades Gaza, invades Palestine, and Russia invades Ukraine. And the Americans are like, that's all right. Hey, I'll tell you what, you can keep all the stuff that you've taken. Yeah, we don't mind. We're just having fun. And this sets this really dangerous precedence that says invasions work. When countries in Africa were getting independence in the 20th century, they had the Pan-African Conference. And in that conference, they agreed that the borders would stay as they are. And although that might seem mad to anyone who's looked at the subsequent situation in places like Cote d'Ivoire or Nigeria or Sudan, where you have a Muslim north and a Christian south or an animist south, and you've had all the problems there. Or you look at somewhere like the Gambia and Senegal, where people speak the same common language, except the official languages are either French or English, depending on which colonial power took over. But if you look at the map of Senegal and the Gambia, it is literally imagine like a D. Imagine like a filled in D, right? That's Senegal, and then you've got like this little worm of a country that like goes into the D around the river, the Gambia River. And yeah, that's a different country, apparently. So, those borders stayed. And the reason why the borders stayed as they were was because the people in Africa were, quite rightly, afraid of border skirmishes, fighting over, who owns that particular border, who owns that particular bit. And if you look at some of the frozen conflicts in Africa at the moment, you've got Mauritania, Morocco, and Algeria. They all want a bit of Spanish Sahara, the old Spanish Sahara, which only got independence in 1975. And then you look at where it didn't work, where they put Eritrea in with Ethiopia. Eritrea was an Italian colony. Now, Ethiopia was the only country in Africa that was never colonized. It was invaded by Mussolini in the 30s, but it wasn't colonized. It's slightly different. But when all these other countries got independence, Eritrea got lumped in with Ethiopia, which they weren't happy about, and subsequent civil war ensued. Remember when we were growing up and we had send the money to Ethiopia? We had Band-Aids because of the famine there. Yeah, that was a man-made famine. That was because of the civil war that was raging, which only ended in, I think, the early 90s when Eritrea got independence. But still, there are skirmishes. The border is closed. There's landmines along the border between Ethiopia and Eritrea. Border wars go on. I mean, we've seen a skirmish recently between Thailand and Cambodia. We've also seen skirmishes in Kashmir between India and Pakistan. And don't forget, also China has a claim over a bit of Kashmir as well. So it's all over the shop up there in the Himalayas. It's really grim. I mean, the worst thing that the Americans could possibly do right now is add more pollutants to the planet and pollute it faster. The second worst thing they can do is tell despots all around the world who've always quite fancied the idea of keeping hold of, of grabbing that bit of land that might have some kind of mineral or gold or oil there, saying to the Venezuelans, hey, if you want to invade your neighbor Guyana, why don't you just go and invade them? I mean, you might as well. We'll probably tell you off for a little bit and then we'll go, all right, you can have it. It's not a great signal, is it? To say to countries now in this day and age, it's all right to invade your neighbor. You'll probably get away with it. We'll probably be rewarded. This is what's happened here with Russia. They're actually being rewarded. Invasions work, kids. This incentivizes future wars by autocrats and tin pot dictators like Putin. And rewards territorial aggression. It also undermines NATO's credibility, the alliance that cannot defend countries. And then, it signals US foreign policy volatility. Allies cannot trust long-term commitments with the Yanks. Trump willing to contradict America's own national security establishment, and also Europe being forced to act alone, which I want to make a little bit of criticism here for Europe, because Europe should have got its fucking act together a long time ago. They should have kicked Hungary out of the EU, which they can do. I think it's Article 49. They can just fucking activate it, get rid of those fuckers. Because Orban's going to be the leader there till he dies. So get rid of him. He's Putin's best chum. He's one of the people who's holding up any kind of real action against what Putin is doing. So get rid of him. Come on, take some fucking action. Maybe this deal by the Yanks might spur Europe into action. I would love to see that. I don't think we will, but they've got to take some responsibility here because they're done fuck all. We've got $450 billion worth of frozen Russian assets. Fucking use them. Give them to Ukraine. You know what I'm like, though. I'm a fucking hawk when it comes to Russia. I'd just fucking smash them up. I'd absolutely smash them. Like Alex's eggs at the end of Clockwork Orange. Oh, smash them. Yeah, and also, this frames, the current world political situation so well, doesn't it? A peace plan that rewards the invader. It weakens the victim, sidelines Europe, emboldens autocrats, rewrites the golden rules to suit Vladimir Putin. These rules that have held the world together in some form of peace since the Second World War. And he just wants to rip that apart. Because you know what Russia can make? Lots of fucking arms. Arms manufacturing, the industrial military complex. They want their money. And it's a lot cheap. It's a lot more profitable for these companies to be constantly giving or selling arms to countries that are using those arms than selling arms to countries that aren't using the arms. And they only buy new ones when the old ones have passed their sell-by date. This is not peace. This is surrender. Written in English, dictated in Russian, and sold to the fucking idiots in America as diplomacy. Diplomacy. Yeah. Crazy. Anyway, what do you think? Factwise was saying EU and UK needs to get 100% behind Ukraine. Couldn't agree more, mate. No ifs or buts. Surely we have to make a moral stand. It's truly awful. I'm seriously on the verge of abandoning Labour if they continue to bow to the far right. You're not the only one, mate. Welcome aboard, Trekker. I don't know how lost you got to end up here, but welcome nevertheless. Lost Trekker. Hello to you all. Since you're approaching the history of the Gulf War, one has to say how ambiguous the US government was towards Saddam Hussein and how they used to be his ally before turning. Yeah. Well, that's because Saudi Arabia, which secretly controls America. These are fucking conspiracy theorists talking about the Illuminati and lizard people from space. When the reality is that Saudi Arabia controls America. Look at everything America does. Is it what Saudi wants? Yeah. Did Saudi attack America in 9/11? Yeah. Did Saudis pay for that? Yeah. Was 15 of the 19 hijackers from Saudi? Yeah. Was the mastermind from Saudi? Yeah. Did the Americans invade Saudi? No. Afghanistan. And then Iraq. Okay, cool. Yeah. So anyway, in the 1980s, there was the Iran-Iraq War, which saw trench warfare and mustard gas being used for the first time since World War One, and over 1 million people died in that conflict, which was over the Shat al-Arab waterway, over who controlled the majority of it. It was a ridiculous war. It was kind of a proxy war, and on one side you had Iran, which is majority Shia Muslim, and on the other side you had Iraq, which is just about majority Sunni Muslim. At least Saddam Hussein was a Sunni, he wasn't a Shiite. And so he got the backing of the Sunni nations, i.e. Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, they were on their side, and others. So when we talk about American ambiguity towards Iraq, here's something to remember. So in the 1980s, when Iran and Iraq were having a war, which lasted about 10 years, by the way, the Americans and the British and other allied powers were supplying weapons to the Iraqis and the Iranians. Yep, we were arming both sides of a conflict. Both sides, selling weapons to both sides in a conflict. That's what we did. That's what America did. And this is why when Saddam Hussein decided, I think it was at the end of 1990, it was summer of 1990, was it? When he decided to invade Kuwait, why it was such a shock. Because the Kuwaitis were like, I thought we were friends. And the Saudi Arabians were like, I thought we were friends. We helped you out in that war against Iran. But again, Saudi Arabia turned against Saddam Hussein and just tried to get him killed. And the Americans did hold off on that. They declared the north of the country, what's now Kurdistan, Sulaymaniyah and Erbil, that area in the north of the country, they declared that a semi-autonomous state that couldn't be controlled or bombed by Baghdad. And the Iraqi forces were forced to flee Kuwait, and they started pursuing them through the deserts up through towards Basra in the south of Iraq. But in the end, we decided, no, we'll just leave Saddam Hussein where he is. He's been neutered. He can't really fight back now. Let's just leave him to it. And I think the idea at the time was that Saddam Hussein would be taken down by his own people, which he wasn't in the end. Well, I suppose he really wasn't. But yeah, and then they needed an excuse years later to try out a new economic ideal where they would. This is disaster capitalism. It all built up to this, and the invasion of Iraq and the de-Baathification of the country. So the Ba'ath Party was the party of Saddam Hussein. Fascinatingly, the Ba'ath Party was all right towards Christians, and once they got rid of all the Baathists, the Christians, a lot of them had to leave because they were being discriminated against in Iraq. But that's by the by. They decided to get rid of everyone. And this involved not just Saddam Hussein and his ministers and politicians in, local leaders, mayors and stuff around Iraq, but also the civil service. They got rid of the civil service. They dismantled it. We didn't do that at the end of World War II. We didn't say to, Germany, there was a denazification process of getting rid of the Nazis and bringing them over to America so they got help with the moon fucking rocket launch. That's another story. Operation Paperclip. But yeah, the denazification didn't go so far as to get rid of everyone who was involved in the bureaucracy of running the country, because they knew what would happen if they did that. The country, which was not in the best of shapes after having the shit bombed out of it by the Allies. They knew the country would just fall apart, which is what happened in Iraq. The country fucking fell apart, and it led to the rise of ISIS and the horrors that went on from there. And don't forget, ISIS led to Assad's civil war and all that shit that went on. Just made a bad situation a lot worse. Al-Assad, sorry, not al-Bashir. Al-Bashir was Sudan. Al-Assad was the gobshite in Syria. But yeah, it's there it is. Lots of rare minerals, rare earth minerals aren't that rare. They just take a lot of messy refining, preferably not in our backyard, says Shinzed. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Breaking news, Hungary's Viktor Orban is dead. No, oh damn. Has backed the US proposal saying Trump's initiative has gained new momentum. Yeah, Chris. Yeah. Jesus Christ. That is fucking crazy. Fat Spicer says EU and UK need to get 100% behind Ukraine. I've read that one. I need to scroll down. I was playing a war game around that time, Harpoon, so puzzled about the WMD that could reach British territory. The only thing in range was Akrotiri is how you pronounce it. That's the British military base in Cyprus, or one of them, got two. Britain used mustard gas in the Aden Protectorate, and Italy used mustard gas in 1936 invasion of Ethiopia. Okay, well, mustard gas then. Well, trench warfare then. I'll say trench warfare was the first time since World War II that it had really been used to that extent. I went to college with a refugee from Iran-Iraq war. She was an American and an Iranian citizen. She had burn scars from mustard gas. It's really grim. Chris is feeling particularly sadistic today. And it could get worse if DVD doesn't collect my customer's order. Alistair, Martin says, Alistair, they don't help themselves by denying UN inspectors access to sites, though. Yeah, but that was Saddam Hussein playing his fucking brinkmanship, wasn't it? I'm sorry, you're talking about Iran or you're talking about Iraq? For Kurds, the Iran-Iraq war, even worse. Many families have family on the other side of the border. Yeah, that's true. It was just a really grim time. Nobody listens to Orban. Well, they should use this as an excuse to kick them out of the EU. Just kick them out. Just suspend them. Take away their voting privileges. You don't have to get rid of them entirely. You just suspend their voting privileges. My other half is Kurdish. When goes home to Iraq on UK passport, crosses to Iran on Iraqi ID. I worry every time. Kurdish people have historically been marginalized by Iran, Iraq, Turkey, Syria, it's really sad that there is no real Kurdistan country where they can feel safe. But there just isn't. It's just not the way things turned out. I wish I knew where she was. She graduated in 1995 and married a man in California. I think she's there still studying. She was studying for a master's. Says Ibriz Ann. Maybe we're trying to track her down. Find out. We've got Wikipedia, not Wikipedia, Facebook. Is Grok or ChatGPT censoring YouTube comments? I don't know. I don't think so, because they're not Google, are they? This is Google. So shall we have a look at the papers? Should we have a look at the papers? Come on, let's go over to the papers. It's 10 o'clock. Time for the papers. Front cover of the Mirror here. Legend Manny dead at 63. Soul of the Stone Roses. Which is heartbreaking. And then the other story that I was going to look at, but we're going to probably discuss this today on the agenda. The COVID inquiry. 23,000 deaths in the first wave could have been avoided. Johnson did too little too late and repeated mistakes. Toxic culture in government led to disastrous errors. Inexcusable. Some 23,000 deaths could have been avoided in the first COVID wave if Boris Johnson's government had acted faster. This man has the blood of 23,000 people on his hands. Inexcusable pandemic delays cost 23,000 lives. On the front cover of the Times, report says the response was too little, too late. Chaotic Johnson government repeated mistakes. Embassy set for approval despite China spying fears. Keir Starmer is expected to formally approve a supersized Chinese embassy in the heart of London next month after being given the green light by MI5 and MI6. Wow. Lee Corn, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Hi, Graham. I sent you a message on WhatsApp. It's a post from Labour's social media team, completely tone deaf. They need sacking. Yeah, I saw that. Thanks, Lee. Apology statement. We would like to bring some matters to the attention. This is just okay. Should we just bring this on? Should we bring this on board so everyone can see it? What Lee Con, we'll read it together. Should we read it together? It'll be fun. Maybe it'll be fun. I don't know. Probably not. Just 1 second. Sorry, I've just got to sort out a couple of things, make it look really cool. 1 second. Oh my God, why is this taking so long? Come on, Graham. Get your shit together. Right. There we go. Okay. Right. I got the message up. Should we bring it up, Lee? This is worth a £5, isn't it? Apology statement. We would like to address some matters brought to our attention. It appears that our effort to give every child the best start in life have had some unexpected consequences. Our best start free breakfast clubs have served 2.6 million meals, created unforeseen levels of concentration in our classrooms, and have left parents facing alarming amounts of unexpected free time at the start of the day. 30 hours of government-funded childcare have saved parents £7,500 per child per year, triggering outrageous increase in household savings and putting a shocking new focus on the importance of school readiness. What is this? With our drive to tackle school attendance, getting 140,000 children back in class and thousands more teachers recruited into our schools, our classrooms have become bustling hubs of learning, teeming with ambitious young people set to achieve and thrive with the help of this government. We put this down to our plan for change, which seems to have raised the bar alarmingly high. It turns out when you have a mission to break down the barriers to opportunity, you end up making people's lives better. We completely understand the urge to find out more, go to the education hub, or best in start. What the fuck is this? What? Wow, that's awful. That's so remarkably bad on every level. No, it's not a parody. Ed says Labour posted literally nothing for Trans Day of Remembrance yesterday. Fucking disgusting. Yeah. CNN did a really good piece about trans lives that have been lost and told the story of the trans people who are no longer with us. Labour. And also the guidance came out yesterday, didn't it? Where they said it's okay to discriminate against people based on how they look. If they don't look feminine enough. That's so many clocky turfs fucked, innit? All these clocky turfs, outside the High Court celebrating, popping open the champagne. They drink too much champagne, need to go for a piss. Sorry, love, you look too clocky to me. You're not going to be able to use the toilet. You're going to have to use the men's toilet. The men's toilet? You mean the toilet that's covered in piss all over the seat? Because men piss all over the seat. Yeah, you're going to have to use that toilet. The toilet with men inside. Yeah. Why? Because you don't look feminine enough. You don't look the Western ideal of femininity. Oh well. I suppose it's what we fought for. Yeah. Anyway, back to the papers. And we've got the joke that is the Telegraph. Let's get the Telegraph up. In a moment. Just give me a second. They love Shabana Mahmood. She looks really smug in that picture. And Monty Panesar there saying, I might be thick, but at least I'm not a cheat. Okay. I don't know what that's about. The £200 million COVID, I told you so, costliest inquiry in British history tells us what we already know. Okay. Are you going to put it on the front cover of the newspaper? Are you going to put it on the front cover? There's going to be a thing on the cover of the Telegraph, the Tory graph, saying that 23,000 people died unnecessarily. You told us that you already knew that. Why wasn't that on the front cover of your bastard newspaper? Your shit rag. Why wasn't it on there? God, I can't wait for the Telegraph to not get bought by anyone and go fucking bump. And I hope all the people who fucking work for it end up fucking, I don't know, doing things for Latvian sailors in exchange for bread. Is that a bit too harsh? I don't think so. Let's have a look further down in the Telegraph here. We've got Diana, Princess of Paris. And then it's a wax figure of Princess Diana for some reason. Do you know the story behind Madame Tussauds? It's really grim. I think she did face masks, death masks for the aristocrats who died in the French Revolution. She used to take casts of their faces. I think that's how it started. I don't know. 23,000 dead, crickets, but the tax might rise. Well, I mean, this is the Telegraph. So, Putin welcome back in G7 under Trump peace plan. Wow. It's a royal on the front page, Graham. It is. It's not even a real royal. It's a wax royal. I can't believe she was only 36 when she died. That just blows my mind. Anyway, middle-class families face unlimited council tax increase. Families in affluent neighbourhoods are facing unlimited council tax rises under plans to funnel more cash into Labour-supporting towns. I love the way that they put this. No. They're going to take money from affluent areas and put it to areas that need the money. Like what used to happen before the Tories stopped giving money to places that needed the money. I hate this newspaper. It is such a shit rag. It's worse than the Mail. Can't believe I'm saying that. It's worse than the Sun. This is worse than the Sun newspaper. And I'm from Liverpool. I fucking hate the Sun. Middle class families face unlimited council tax increase. We've read that one. AI will consign authors to the history books. Novels written without artificial intelligence become expensive luxury. Yeah, right. License fee dodgers cost BBC £1 billion. Prostate screening trial for thousands of men. Unilever puts Marmite and Coleman's on table. So you can buy Marmite if you want. We've got the Daily Express here. Go away, advert. Give kids a chance of freedom like Unstoppable Robin, aged 4. Support our Christmas appeal to secure life-changing wheelchairs. I mean, that's a noble cause for the for change, I guess, for the Express there. But guys, listen, friends, my friends, listen, right? You know, there was a COVID inquiry yesterday, and it came out in the COVID inquiry that that 23,000 people died unnecessarily because of Boris Johnson's failure to respond to the pandemic. This is the guy who missed, was it 5 Cobra meetings? Emergency Cobra meetings, he missed them because he was writing a book about Shakespeare, which he still hasn't finished. Here he is on the front cover of The Independent. Fatal cost of Boris's chaotic and toxic number 10. 23,000 dead. Boris Johnson's government's response to the pandemic was too little too late. Inexcusable delays killed thousands. Total lockdown could have been avoided. PM failed to appreciate urgency of situation and repeatedly changed his mind. Dominic Cummings was a destabilising advisor who created fear and suspicion. Views of others in Downing Street, particularly women, were often ignored. But, you know, not a word of that on the front cover of the Telegraph. They're looking at the expense of having this inquiry. They're looking, not the expense of the fucking VIP lanes, which gave millions, billions to people. But you know, the expense of looking into this and telling us what we already know. We already know that. We already see how they're downplaying it, and there's nothing about it on the front cover of the Express at all. Gone with a completely different story, not even mentioning it. There's an interview with Keira Knightley, which I'm not going to read because she's a fucking transphobe. And then we've got Girl, So Amazing, the best Charlie XCX songs ranked. So there you go, if you like them. Too Little Too Late, Tory response to COVID crisis damned in report. The UK's response to COVID was too little too late. A damning official report on the handling of the pandemic has concluded. Zelensky incautious response to peace plan. Obviously, he's trapped between a rock and a hard place. And then Music World mourns Stone Roses' beating heart Manny. Stone Roses bassist Manny there, pictured with second right with the band members Rennie and John Squire and Ian Brown, who died yesterday, age 63. Really, really sad about Manny. 2 years almost to the day that he lost his wife, Imelda, I think her name was. He lost her to cancer. And he had just announced that he was going to be doing a speaking tour next September. And now he's gone. Really, really sad. And then ministers tell Farage respond to racism claim. Cabinet ministers describe details and multiple allegations of teenage racism by Nigel Farage as repulsive and repeated in the Prime Minister's call for him to address these claims. He's not going to. Of course he's not going to. He doesn't have to. He's got Trump. He's got the millionaires. You know, he's got all them. Viper Scott, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Herd immunity, and they block anyone going to court with a bill they passed in Westminster so they could fuck it up and get away with it, Graham. Yeah. They should all be in jail. Alistair, thank you very much for the super chat, but they should all be in fucking jail. You know? Have a look on the front cover here of the I newspaper, which is Johnson's toxic leadership blamed for 23,000 deaths. Boris Johnson's government did too little too late to slow the spread of COVID, an official inquiry has found. Imposing lockdown a week earlier could have saved 23,000 lives in England. We actually took we took the Cat's girls, out of school the week before the official lockdown came in. We took them out of school. We just went, we can see what's happening. This is a pandemic. We need to take this seriously. We saw what was happening in Italy and other countries around the world. And we were like, we've got to lock down. And then a week later, like, oh yeah, we've got to lock down. Fucking idiots. Fucking idiots. Repulsive, grim, sick, twisted bastards. And I blame private schools. And I know you're going to roll your eyes at me saying that and go, Graham, you're obsessed with private schools. But no, seriously, all the people in charge at that time were private school kids. The guy in charge of the economy, Rishi Sunak. The guy in charge of the government, Boris Johnson. The guy in charge of the NHS, Matt Hancock. They were all privately educated. The woman in charge of the track and trace app, that 37 billion pounds that we spent on it, well, we put towards it, privately educated. Dido Harding, privately educated. And what does private education do? Well, for some people, it gives them a really good education. But if you're a psychopath, if you're an idiot, if you're a psychopathic idiot, like Boris Johnson or Matt Hancock, you are told that you are special. You're a very special boy. You are amazing at everything you try to do. Anything you want to do in the world is available to you because you're just that talented. It feeds the egos of ego monsters to such a degree that they believe that they can do anything. They alone can fix it. Dominic Cummings, privately educated, went to the most expensive school here in Durham School for Boys. £30,000 a term or something. It's fucking ridiculously expensive, or a year, I think. And what was he taught? He was right. Everyone else was wrong. The arrogance that led to thousands, tens of thousands of British people dying unnecessarily because these fucking scumbags who are in charge of the country all went to private schools where they were told that they were special, that they knew best. They knew better than the rest of us state school educated plebs. And now look where we are. You know? The fact that so many people died unnecessarily. And there's a story on the front cover of the Mail here about the betrayal of school kids. State school kids, by the way, not private school kids. Don't forget, private schools, up till this Labour government, not only did they not pay any tax, they didn't have to be inspected by Ofsted unless they wanted to be. Can you believe that? They didn't have to be inspected by Ofsted. Gets better. Teachers didn't need to be qualified. To work in a state school, you need a PGCE. In a private school, no. They can just fucking hire a drunk off the streets. Someone who's just got out of jail for paedophilia can be given a job in a private school. Nice that, isn't it? Good job. I don't even think they need a fucking background check to see if they've got a criminal record. I'm not sure about that one, but wouldn't surprise me. So no tax. Don't have to have qualified teachers. Don't have to have Ofsted, which is obviously a safeguarding threat. And also, they don't have to follow the national curriculum. So they can just teach what the fuck they want to teach. And what they seem to want to teach these kids is, you're very special. Everything you think is amazing. Everything you do is wonderful. Feeds their arrogance. It feeds their psychopathy. Feeds their sociopathic tendencies. Doesn't tell them, hey, maybe you should get the best advice from experts, because they're told that they are the experts. They are the brightest. They are the best. They're the most amazing humans that have ever existed. This is what they're told. It's in their genes because their parents were rich. Unless you're one of these kids who got in on a scholarship and then, got bullied by the other kids. for not being posh, not knowing which knife and fork to use. Fucking charitable status, says Diz. Yeah. Charities for billionaires. Charities for the crotch spawn of billionaires. For the womb goblins, the sex trophies of billionaires. And we give money indirectly through our tax. Every single private school kid costs about £26,000 a year to the taxpayer in all of their dodges, all of their rebates, all of their fucking clever little schemes. A state school kid, £8,000 a year. Make it make sense. Anyway, and then we've got some woman here saying, none of my 4 children wants me this Christmas. Here's how I'm taking my revenge. I mean, that's a bit of a signal, isn't it? If you got 4 kids and none of them want to hang out with you at Christmas, maybe you shouldn't be talking about revenge. Maybe you should be finding out what the problem is. Because I've got a good idea just from reading the headline that the problem might be you. But fine, pursue your revenge, because that seems like a very Daily Mail thing to do. Betrayal of our children. Lockdowns brought ordinary childhood to a halt and could have been avoided. Childhood was brought to a halt by draconian COVID lockdowns, the damning official inquiry found yesterday. Young lives were blighted, though the vast majority of children were immune to the deadly virus. It added their education and well-being were sacrificed to save their elders. Okay. I've got to say, stopping kids from going to school was shit, right? Having to homeschool kids during lockdown, which we had to do here, was a bit shit, right? But you know what's more shit? Being dead. Okay? And at the time, we didn't necessarily know that children were immune in the March of 2020, right? But here's the thing, right? If we had brought in social distancing, if we had closed Heathrow, if we had stopped people coming into the country, we could have very effectively made it so we didn't have to lock down. We didn't have to lock down. You just put a ring of protection around older people and, put services in place so they can stay at home and we can come to them. But for the vast majority of us who wouldn't be killed by COVID, we should have been not locked down. But by the time that they decided to lock down, the other options were off the table. And so they had to lock down. Bloody useless. Betrayal of our children. There you go. So yeah. And then we'll go over to the Financial Times here. Let's bring it up. We've got investigation, the dark truth behind tuna. There you go. There's some tuna there. A lot of people are quite shocked when they see the size of tuna. It's basically the cow of the sea. It's fucking huge. The world's biggest tuna fleets from China, Taiwan, Japan, South Korea, and Spain dominate global catches of the popular fish, operating vast numbers of vessels that roam the Pacific, Indian, and Atlantic Oceans, with tens of thousands of migrant crews from Southeast Asia and Africa who form the backbone of the industry endure brutal, dehumanizing conditions. That doesn't surprise me at all. Migration overhaul offers big earners 3-year pathways to settled status. Mahmoud lays out new model. Lower skilled migrants face 15-year wait. Effort to fend off reform. High earners and entrepreneurs will be eligible for UK settlement in as little as 3 years, while others will be forced to wait up to 30. That's 30. That word there says 30 years under plans to transform the legal migration system. Bloody fuck. Okay, anyway, Blackstone lines up NEC Events Hub for sale with target price of more than $1 billion. That's Birmingham's NEC Event Centre. Host of everything from dog show crufts to this year's Reform Party conference is being lined up for a more than £1 billion share by its owner, Blackstone. And Reeves has been urged to rethink levy on expensive homes. MPs in London and South West have urged Rachel Reeves to scale back the scope of the proposed mansion tax. Bring it. I want the mansion tax. Mansion tax sounds wonderful. I'm no fool, Monty. England's hero joins Star Quiz team after Oz skipper insult. Brainy cricket legend Monty Panesar has mocked the Aussies and joined the Daily Star's quiz team as the Ashes begins. I don't understand what's even happening here. Killer Clown there, COVID chaos, and some woman with big boobs in the shower in the jungle. And then we've got toxic, chaotic, calamitous. Official verdict on Johnson's COVID response here. We've got ex-PM castigated, but all UK governments did too little too late, and 23,000 might have lived. And then we've got a picture of Manny, Gary Moorfield there. 1962 to 2025. And an advert for Lidl. Okay, so that's it. That's the news. Papers. That's papers. Paper review. They're not really full of news. Tell you what happened yesterday. We stopped kids going to schools as they are super spreaders, and it was to protect the elderly population who have since forgotten that little fact. Yes, it was. I'd like to say, I'd rather kids take off time from school than for old people to die. But because of the way they set things up, by the time it got to near the end of March 2020, there was no other option apart from lockdown. If they had acted earlier, we could have done other stuff. We could have done social distancing. We could have closed Heathrow, stuff that we just didn't do. I don't eat fish and meat, but I'm shocked at how cheap tuna is. Now I know why. Yeah, it is, Lee. It's yeah. The thing is, I bet there's a correlation between endangered species and how tasty they are, says Captain Coconut. Yeah, apparently, turtle's incredibly tasty. One of the reasons why we never got a turtle or a tortoise to the UK for many, many years is these ships going over to the New World. They'll bring back a tortoise to take to, I don't know, to a museum, not a museum, a zoo somewhere in the UK, and they wouldn't get it because they'll eat it. They'll eat the turtle before it got home. Before I got to the UK, because turtle soup was apparently delicious. Apparently, a panda is quite tasty as well, as is the last remaining white rhino. Apparently, or so I'm told. I'm joking. Don't eat endangered animals. Christ Almighty. Sounds fair for me. If you have more money, clearly you're more important than some people. Oh, you're an ass back of the queue, you pauper. Kind of crazy. No radiator ads today. No, I think I'm taking the hint by me not buying another radiator. Epic Brexit rant from Graham yesterday. Keep them coming. Thank you very much, Nick. I made that as a separate video. I'm supposed to do this every day. Take a clip of one of the shows that I've done in the day that I like, a couple minute clip, and just have that as a separate video so people can watch that and go, oh, wow, I might like this channel. I like the cut of this guy's jib. The problem was that my rant yesterday, I did start it with talking about 100 million when it was 100 billion. And I realized when I edited it, I was like, shit, I said the wrong thing at the beginning. I meant to say 100 billion. It's a lot bigger than 100 million. But I think everyone got what I was talking about because it was for 5 years, and therefore 5 times 100 billion is $500 billion. They were panicking about having to wear a mask. What are those characters on? Yeah, indeed. Tuna was invented in Tunisia. Sardines were invented in Sardinia. God knows what they invented in Scunthorpe, says Andy. And Martin, that would have been an uptick in the COVID cases. Personally, I think children should have been vaccinated first than everybody else. No, I think older people they did get vaccinated first. That was the right way to do it. Like the number of deaths from COVID went off a cliff once people were getting vaccinated. And then you had to bring up Panda, the lazy racist fuckers. A panda's racist now. They deserve to be eaten. I tell you. Anyway, I've got to get going now. I'm going to see a library. I'm going to visit before I do the 1 o'clock show with Phil Morehouse. I'm going to go and check out an original copy of Principia's, Isaac Newton's Principia, and also an original first edition of on the Origin of Species by Charlie Darwin, Charlie D. The other Charlie D. There were 2 Charlie Ds in the Victorian era, but my favourite will always be Darwin. One angry pagan. Thank you very much for the £2 super chat. Poor high contrast bamboo bears. I'm joking. Don't eat the pandas. Don't eat the pandas. Anyway, so I'll let you know how it goes. Go and see these ancient texts. They're not ancient, are they? It's kind of cool though. I'll take some photos. Wish I had a better camera. I have to take my phone. It's got a shit camera on it. Anyway, so thanks for watching. Thanks for the super chats. Angry Pagan, etc. Thanks for triggering the confetti. I'll be back at 1 o'clock for the agenda with Phil Morehouse, and we're going to be talking about Labour's immigration policy. And also, we're going to be talking about the COVID inquiry and other stuff going on in British politics. So please join us for that at 1 o'clock. And then at 9:30 tonight, we're going to be letting our hair down. Those of us who still have hair, that's not me. And having fun in the Friday night social, where we're just anything goes. We're just going to be talking about what's been going on in the country this week and how we feel about it. And maybe we'll just go off on some random tangents because that's always fun. So until I see you again, thank you so much for watching. If you would consider giving us a like on the way out, just hit that big thumb and maybe give us a subscribe if you're not already subscribed. And if you are subscribed, hit the bell notification icon. So if we do a random show in the middle of the day or the middle of the night, you'll be the first to know. Because you get a little buzz in your pocket to say, Graham's coming live in 1 hour. Okay, so let's do it. See you at 1, see you at 9:30. If not, have a great weekend. And until next time, I'll say hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.